there. Yay, good morning. It's Monday morning and here we are again. Oh, you can't see me with a reflection. There, that's better. So yay, Monday Momentum. We are here again every Monday at 8 a.m. Pacific time to talk about cool things when it relates to running your own business or being an entrepreneur. And today, the really neat thing is it's just Linda and I, and it's going to give us a chance to get caught up because, as you know, one of the big values perhaps of Monday Momentum is continuously learning new things. So it's been a while since I've had an update from Linda on some of the things she's been up to and vice versa. So we're going to talk about what we've learned lately and what's new, and hopefully you'll get some really good tips out of it. I think you will. Linda, why don't you hop in and say hi first thing? Yay, it's been a while.
Good morning. Happy Monday Momentum. I am so glad spring is finally here. Things are starting to open up. Got a better positive outlook on the business. It just seems to happen in the springtime. I don't know about you, but it certainly does for me. Getting out more networking. These face-to-faces that I've kind of drawn back from over the wintertime. They're starting to come to fruition. And I don't know about you, but most of my business comes from only a handful of things. I personally don't do a lot of advertising, but networking for me is number one. Getting out there, meeting people, finding out, building the relationships, finding out what people need, what they're doing.
Yeah.
Maybe I can help them, maybe I can't. But I love this time of year, so
I think I was going to say, I think you sound pretty normal. It's called spring fever. Lots of things come back to life in the spring. In fact, everything sort of does that went dormant over the winter. So I think, we are biological, but we want to believe that we are, and you feel it just like the squirrels and the chickadees out there do. The days are longer, and the sap is running in the trees, and the blood is running in the body, and woo! And it's nice to be able to benefit from some of those things that you worked on, maybe a lower energy during the winter, but hey, everybody's getting up and running now, and now that we know each other during the winter, the networking is beginning to pay off. So good for you. And yeah, for me, it's the same here. We had a great winter, lots of snow, which is what we want and need in Tahoe. But at the same time, I feel like I've finally shifted gears where, okay, you don't have to snow anymore. It's fine with me. Let's have spring and summer. And I got to spend my Mother's Day doing what I love to do on Mother's Day, which is garden, everything planted. Because where we are, you can't plant before now, and even now it's taking a chance. It'll probably snow again, but it's the way I like to spend that day. So anyways, is there something new and interesting that you've learned while you're doing all this networking, or a new book perhaps, or something that you've discovered about yourself?
Well, I've pretty much spent the winter trying to learn new things, trying to pull everything together. I mean, I've been in the web development business since 2003, and it was great and fine, and I really love building websites, but everybody and their brother these days can grab one of these new tools and think they can put up a website. And you know what? They can, but what they don't have is that expertise about blending it all together. You've got graphic designers that can make websites look pretty, and you've got techno geeks that can technically make a website really functional. But what I find that is my competition isn't either one of those, and it isn't the business owner themselves who picks up the tool and starts using it. It's really about the people that have tried it and done it themselves and realize that that's not where they want to spend their time. So I'm at the point now where I've spent the winter kind of learning all the different pieces and components of different things. So using the website development as a base and building on it. And I think one of the most important things I did was I took a copywriting course over the winter, and then I just recently picked up another book from someone else. I don't know if you've ever heard of Ray Edwards.
No.
He's awesome.
Red.
This is an incredible book.
Oh, goody. That looks wonderful.
I took a 6-week copywriting course from someone else, and I loved it. I enjoyed it. But man, he packs everything into what was essentially a free book. All I had to do was pay for shipping, which was like $8 or something like that. One of the best $8 that I ever spent. Really, really worth it. He also does some online training that when you get the book, you get access to his copywriting site. And he gives you all these samples, these templates of these sales letters and, you know, online techniques for writing copy.
Mm-hmm.
So I love it. It's great. And
so,
you know, so for me, having a website, pulling together the design, pulling together the technology is great. And I used to rely on my clients to come up with a copy. And, you know, they didn't always do that well. They're the business owner, they know about their business, but they didn't really know how to write. They didn't know how to express themselves in a way to interest other people. And that's kind of where the copywriting is starting to blend in for me. I know you're working on a new website, and you're working on putting your content out there. You know, what have you struggled with as far as coming up with your own copy?
Well, you know, it's a really cool topic that you brought up, and I know that I've been hired by to do some writing for them, and what I've done a lot of the time, because it's writing that I don't have experience with, like copywriting for a sales, an email sales campaign, for instance, is I've just gone and searched templates because I need to know how to write one that works. And so I'm really excited about your book. I can't wait to get it for myself, because, you know, what you're talking about in part is, you know, initially you said sites for a while, but now it's easier for lots of people to build their own sites, and sometimes they'll build their own site and it'll be good enough for their needs, whatever their needs are, and sometimes they won't. Sometimes they're like, okay, I get it, this is not as easy as I thought it was going to be, and it's not my strength, I don't want to spend all my time on it, but I'm glad, I mean, at least for me, I'm glad I know enough about how to build a site that I also know what you're doing if I hire you, or at least complete mystery. But your adaptability, okay, the market has changed. Not everybody is a complete neophyte when it comes to building a site, so I can't just come in and build their site and yay. I have to find new things that I can offer. And also, probably, if you're like me anyway, personally, after a while of doing one thing, you kind of want to learn how to do something else, or do it a little differently, or add a little touch, because it gets the same thing over and over. So what you're expressing to me is it's time to learn how to do more things. It's time to really get, what can I offer that's different than, you know, just go and buy your own site. And I deal with the same thing too, because I do a lot of editing and proofreading. People can get that on Fiverr, right? Or Elance or Odesk or what. I mean, there's other places that they can get it, and then they can get, but they won't get the same quality. And that's the, you know, finding your niche and finding what it is that you offer that's different. And that's kind of what you're doing too. And you're going to be able to, if you aren't already, say to people, yeah, it's true, you can build your own site, but if you're not a writer, the copy may not be very good. And, you know, is that really your expertise? Is that really what you want to spend your time on? Or would you rather have me do it, or at least help you do it? So that I'm very proud of, that reads very well, and you can still do your work. And that's an added bonus that you didn't have before. So good for you. I'm excited for you. I didn't know you were doing that. I knew you were doing some techno stuff, but.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the other thing too, Sarah, is you mentioned you do copy editing. I think that is so incredibly important. And
I'm here. I just got to fix this. Go ahead. Copy it. There we
So,
go.
you know, people put their own copy out there and they don't either proofread it or they don't maybe understand the nuances of the written language. And Google picks up on these things. And Google indexes it, complete with your typos and things like that. And, you know, they don't give it quite as much relevance as well-written copy, as well as copy that doesn't contain any typos. So I don't know if you could talk for a minute or two about typos and what are the most frequent ones that you come across when you're editing people's content.
Well, you know, that's what you just said about SEO. I didn't know that. I've just figured, you know, you want your written word to be clear and concise and accurate because it's professional, not because it affects your SEO. So that's a new one for me. You know, the thing I see most commonly is people using spell check and thinking that's enough. So it's not so much that it's a typical typo. I mean, there's a lot of them. The biggest one probably is, you know, apostrophes, when to use them and when not to use them. And colons and semicolons, commas. But a lot of people give me a document and it's really clear that they've spell checked it because there aren't any spelling errors, but you can have a word spelled properly and it's still not the right word. So that happens a lot, and people just rely on spell check to go through and say this word's spelled wrong, this word, and you just say yes, 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 or you have spelled the word. Sorry, you have written the wrong word, spelled it right, but it's not the right word. So maybe it's THERE there, but it should have been THEIR there. Well, spell check says that's spelled right, so I'm happy, and you don't realize that it's not the right word. So that's the biggest, most common thing, and that's why always, before you send something off to be published on the web or in a book or in a magazine, you need to have someone else look at it. You really, truly do, and not just one person. If you can do it, 2 or 3 or 4, because even people like me make typos. I just heard about one I made yesterday, and it's kind of a bummer to be the lady that says typos matter, and I make them myself. But we're human, and it's part of the deal. So that would be the most common. And you know, my argument always is, it's not about being right or wrong and scolding you that you've made a mistake the way maybe you felt in your English class when you were in high school. It's about communicating clearly. And the rules that we have around language, the grammar, spelling, pronunciation, all of it is so that I have a better chance of you understanding what I'm trying to say, whether it's verbally or it's written. Because when we both know what the rules are, then we're much more likely to actually be able to concentrate on the content. If we're confused by the fact that you spelled this weird, I'm not quite sure what you meant, or your pronunciation is, what word is that? Then the message is that much more likely to be garbled, and you know, a confused mind never buys.
It's true.
So, you know, that's my message. Don't worry about being right or wrong. Let that go. Just make sure your message is as clear as possible. And when you're writing, it's even more important because you don't have all the wonderful benefit of the body language, which is really where we do most of our communicating. You don't have that when you're writing. So you really need to make sure your writing is as good as it can be.
Absolutely. So for me, you know, there's 3 main areas that copy come into play. Yes, it's critical on your website because everything that you do should drive people back to your website. The second area is those custom landing pages, those long sales letters, short sales letters, but anything that people come across on the website that's going to drive them either to make a decision, make a purchase, drive them to your website, get on your email list. That copy is so important. So, you know, people today, they say email's dead. I don't think so. And a lot of the experts that I listen to don't think so. And the words that you put in your newsletter are so important. And the people that are going to be reading your newsletter, if it isn't formatted for mobile, my gosh, you are losing out on 50–60% of the market, because today most people are reading that copy on their cell phones. And if it isn't formatted properly, you're going to lose that audience. Too teeny tiny, impossible to read. So really, for me, this is a natural progression. This is, you know, I was a little seed there for a long time, just in my my dark ground, just doing websites. But really expanding it, adding the piece of writing copy, to be able to write those sales letters, to be able to do that lead capture, to get those names and addresses into your mailing list, into your CRM, to send those newsletters out, to stay top of mind, you know, and that awareness on there. To me, it's all playing together into this field called marketing automation. And that's really what I've been helping my clients with lately. That's my value add. It's taking all this stuff, putting it all together, and automating it, making a lot of it happen automatically.
Well, so it's making a website for somebody maybe, and then using it to grow your business versus just, there's your site, see you later. You're actually holding their hand and helping them to get the benefit of the site, the maximum benefit, because the site just sitting there, as we all know, I mean, I've seen them, I've had them, they're just sit there. People aren't looking at them or doing anything with them because there's none of that other energy going into getting them to look at it and pay attention. And that maybe used to be enough if you had a brick and mortar business. All you needed to do a lot of the time was make sure you had a site that had some information on it in case anybody ever went to look at it. But now it's a little bit different, especially for those of us who don't have brick and mortar businesses. We have to have a site that actually works for us, doesn't just sit there and look pretty, but works for us. And that's what you're doing. So yay, I can't wait to talk more about how we can use it for our site and what you've learned along those lines for us, and getting more people involved with Monday Momentum and those kinds of things. Any other cool new books, or should I wave one of mine?
Oh, let's see one of yours.
Well, you know, the thing that happened for me this winter, in part, was I spent some time really studying money. And I know I've waved this at you, your money or your life, and we've talked about it before. But it was sort of a beginning for me. And the cool thing about this book is it gives lots of techniques and ideas about how to manage your money and how to get it to be working for you the way you want it to. But it also really spends a lot of time defining what money is and what it does for us, and why we maybe have trouble with it. Because what we're working, according to these, who is it? Dominguez, right? Joe Dominguez and Vicki Robin. What we're doing out there when we're working is we're exchanging our life energy, our time on this planet, we're exchanging it for money with whatever we're doing. So if we're working for an employer, we're giving them 8 hours of our lives, and they're giving us a paycheck. And they go into great detail about it's not really just 8 hours, is it? Because you buy clothing for your job, well, that's a little bit more money. And if you have to commute, that's more of your life. You know, there's more that goes into it than just the time you spend at the job. And that's okay if you're happy with that investment of your life energy and what you're getting in exchange. So the energy piece was really impactful for me. And then the next book that I read, Jim Loehr, Tony Schwartz, The Powerful Engagement book, talks a great deal about energy and managing our energy, and that's way more important in their opinion than managing your time or managing your money or managing anything else, because we only have a certain amount of energy before we poop out. You know, and you probably know this about yourself. In the morning, I tend to have more energy than in the evening. So a long time ago, I told my kids, don't talk to me at night, or don't ask me questions. Don't expect me to like be creative and be able to figure things out. Just, you know, hi and bye is good, but I'm usually kind of wiped out. Doesn't mean I'm not here, but I'm not as able to produce. And there's a lot of information in here about that, about our biology and how we need to recover. We can't just like always go, 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 go. And they've done a lot of work with athletes. So that's so interesting to me that I went and read, I'm almost done reading the next one by Jim. And this one is a little more deeper on your energy management and the stories that we tell ourselves about the way we're living. And how likely it is that the story that you're telling yourself is going to get you where you want to go. So a lot of that, because he's worked so much with athletes and with after athletes, business professionals, he sees a lot of people that are telling themselves a story like, it's okay for me to work 70 hours a week. I really have to. My family needs me to make this money. And later I'll have a relationship with my kids. Or it's really not okay for me to take the time to exercise because then people will think that I don't put enough time into my job. And they tell themselves these stories and then they drop dead of a heart attack at 50. And that's not really the way they wanted their story to end. And hopefully some of them don't drop dead. They go to this guy's training and they learn, hey, the story I'm telling myself is likely to lead me here. How about a new story that could lead me where I really want to go? So that's a long answer to your question, but those are the things that I've been thinking a lot about and actually feeling pretty good about, because I do a pretty good job of eating well and getting enough sleep and getting that exercise. But I do often feel like a slug, like, you know, you sleep too much and why? And you know, you should be working harder and you should be doing more and you really don't have time to exercise today. I mean, all that stuff goes on in my head a lot because I want to, you know, move forward in the money realm. But, you know, the money story is the story that I really need to work on and spend some time on. And they're doing okay, I feel like. So interesting stuff for me and really helping me focus more on what areas of my life do I want to change and like I said, what's the story? So I don't know, does that set off any alarms of interesting insights for you?
Well, I so believe our personal story is really what either makes us more successful or holds us back. And for many years, sure, my stories held me back. And I'm finally making that transition and realizing how important that story is. But, you know, tying back stories that we tell ourselves to, you know, what I was talking about with copy earlier, it's also the stories that we tell our prospects.
Yeah.
We're trying to, you know, get new business, to sell our products, to get, you know, buy-in from somebody in something. It's the stories we tell them. And the really cool thing about some website design today is, and I've seen it misused in the last couple of years, but it's really telling a story on the website. You have these, you know, pretty looking graphics and you scroll down and you get maybe another picture and another little bullet and something like that. But if you use them to tell a story about your product or your service, you start getting people sucked in to understanding that, hey, you know, this product, service, whatever it is really something I need. I can relate to that. So words, stories, whether we tell ourselves stories, whether we, you know, inform others about the stories that make our product or service unique, it's all good. So
yeah, I love what you said about storytelling, though I kind of object to the word suck them in. You know, we are wired. We are wired for storytelling. That's exactly how we passed information along from generation to generation forever until we had the written word, is storytelling. And people respond to it. People like a story. They want to hear your story. And then they'll decide they want to buy from you because they liked your story. So it is the ability to tell a story and weave it into your sales or anything else is skill. I just love that we have our spider web with the story that's going to suck you. You know, it'll either resonate with you or, well, that's the way I'd rather see it. But So have you learned anything about, or in this course you took, or in the book you showed us, do they have elements of how to tell story in writing sales copy?
It talks a lot about doing it, gives you some examples of how it's done. I think you really have to invest the time and effort into testing for yourself. This is all what, back to the techno stuff, the A/B testing, which portion of the story you tell to this group or to that group, and figure out which one is more effective. So lots of good stuff, Sarah.
Yeah, it is a lot of good stuff, and there's lots of learning all the time. Anything else that's on the horizon for you? Are you maybe going to CEO Space next week? I think it's next week. Yeah, it is. It's a week away. Holy cow. Or other things?
I am counting on July.
Continue on the screen?
I'm counting on July for CEOs.
Oh, good. And until then, you're going to work like crazy and come flying in with a whole new set of products to offer?
Well, that's the whole thing. I spent the winter doing a lot of studying, a lot of learning, a lot of building things together. Right now, I need to start implementing, start pulling these things together, being able to deliver. So it's all good, Sarah.
Okay. Well, yeah, the only, upcoming event for me is CEO Space, but there's always plenty of learning that goes on there. And then I'm always reading all the time, so we talk about that. One of the cool things about being a proofreader is that you read even more and you get paid for it. And you read things that you might not read otherwise. So I proofread a book a little while ago all about estate planning and the things that go wrong if you don't do it correctly, or even while you're still alive. It's not just it screws up whoever it was that you were thinking you were going to leave your estate to, but it screws you up. If you don't do certain things, you can end up being mercy of the court and all. Oh, it was kind of scary, but I never would have read it otherwise. So there is lots of learning always going on. And really that is, to me, what life is all about, just continuing to grow and explore and find out more and learn about ourselves as we learn. What is it like, or what do I behave like as I'm in a class and learning something new? Am I resistant? Why? Or is it exciting? All of that to me is fun process. So we're almost, of course, out of time. Is there anything else you want to throw at these people that are going to now go start their week and really do something new? And if they want to hook up with you, how do they do it?
Well, I think one of the important things to do, like you mentioned, is to evaluate your own story. What are you telling yourself? How is it affecting not just your business, but your family life? And how can you turn that story around and really propel your business? So my name's Linda Kay, and I don't have a lower third. Oh my gosh, you don't either.
I don't know why it's on, but it's not showing.
Is it? Oh, well, it's not. Things like that happen, but Linda Kay, and the company is interactivesynergy.com, because I work together with my clients, and it is truly a synergetic experience.
Great. Thank you, Linda. Who knows where the lower third is? Maybe it'll show up in the video. It's always a mystery with Google Hangouts. But if not, you can find us at Monday Momentum, mymondaymomentum.com. And I'm Sarah Coolidge. We're here every Monday for you to give you a little kick in the rear. It's time to get going. Just because you're working from home doesn't mean that you get to sleep late, or that you are going to spend the whole day cleaning the house, when what you really should be doing is working on your bill. Get out there and do it. Make sure that you spend enough time this week working on what's going to move you forward, so that you slide into home base on Friday feeling really, really good about your week. We will see you next Monday. Please contact us if you want and let us know what you want to hear about, or if you want to be a guest speaker, or how you use the stuff that we talk about here, because we really, really want to know. We want to hear from you. We'll see you next Monday. Your week.
Happy Monday.